You're listening to the Let's Go Buffalo podcast, your new favorite podcast for everything Bills and Sabres. Oh, what's going on, everybody? You're listening to the Let's Go Buffalo podcast, your favorite podcast for all things Bills and Sabres, with the pals Nigel, Tom, Jake, and maybe a surprise fourth pal this evening. Episode 61 coming at you. Quick reminder, folks, you know the drill. We're on all the social medias. You can find us on all of them: Instagram, X, TikTok, YouTube, with the handle at Let's Go Buff Pod. Tom, how many F's do we have in our handle, buddy?
Due.
2 F's. Let's Go Buff Pod, 2 F's. Let's get around the horn here and say hello to the fellas. Tommy, what's going on, brother?
I'm fantastic, dude. Kind of a heartbreaker, but that's okay. That's what we're here for, right? We're here, and these are the podcasts that are important and the ones that we gotta get into. But I think it's important to say, Jake, happy belated birthday, buddy.
Hey, Torpedo 31, right, buddy?
Yes, sir. Old man now. I'm in my 30s.
Whoa, dude, easy. So some of us were already 31 with you before you did. So take a breath there, my guy. Well, fellas, let's we have some a lot on the docket for this evening. So, fellas, if you're ready, I would say let's just pop a beverage real quick here, and then we'll get on with what we got going on this evening. You ready, fellas?
Yeah, count me down.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. One of you had a premature pop. I heard it.
Well, me and my beer cap wouldn't be me. So I'm drinking a Flannel Friday tonight, my Harpoon boys. It's fall is here.
Nice. Little Harpoon. Jake, what do you got, buddy?
I might have been the premature pop, but I got a lot of Vermont and a little bit of Austria. It's a Von Trapp Brewing Pilsner.
Oh,
nice, dude. I wasn't going to call you out on the premature pop, dude, but you did it yourself. So,
well, yeah.
Boys, I do finally have a new beer. We got the Yazoo, you can't quite see with my light, Yazoo Hoppery Hazy IPA. So we're sticking with the hazies, but I do have a new one. I kind of already had one before the pod. It's really good. I'm not going to lie to you.
Oh, yeah.
Good stuff, baby. All right, well, folks, we have a super special guest coming on this evening. We are incredibly excited. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to welcome our special guest for the evening. This is someone that we all look up to a bunch and also enjoy a bunch. We are weekly listeners of his podcast, Cover One Buffalo, that he co-hosts with his partner in crime, Mr. Aaron Quinn, the salary cap guru in the Buffalo Bills media space, lifelong Bills fan and budding Sabres fan, Mr. Greg Tompsett. Greg, whoops. I thought I just removed you there.
You prematurely removed me.
Yeah. Greg, how we doing, my friend?
Good. It had a interesting day. It was kind of slow, and then all of a sudden, lots of fun news came up that I'm guessing may come up here on the show. So it's been a lot of fun getting going back and forth from soccer games while answering questions in my tweets.
Hey, man, that's what the life is, right? You know, you got to go from one thing to the next, and life is all about just juggling the transitions. And man, we're so thankful for you to take some time to be here with us.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I really appreciate everything you guys are building over here and looking forward to joining.
Appreciate you, brother. Well, man, we're going to start a little bit more general, and then we'll kind of narrow it down into some more specific things. But Greg, Tom and I have been fans for a long time, and what we don't know is your sort of upbringing into Bills Mafia. How did you become a fan? Was it a family thing? Would love to get the background on that.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm actually the only person in my family who doesn't still live in Western New York. I grew up down in the Southern Tier. Most of my family's down around like Jamestown, Chautauqua Lake area. Most of my family's still there. So grew up my whole life in Western New York, but down just south of the city. Then went out to college in Cleveland and met my wife here. We've moved all over since then. But now, unfortunately, I'm well past my 31st birthday. So I've lived more of my life outside of Western New York than how much I grew up there, but obviously have just been loyal to the Bills ever since I was born. It's my favorite memories growing up. It was always big, crazy, loud Italian family Sunday dinner, spaghetti and meatballs and rigatoni and sausage, and yelling, swearing at the TV over Bills games. That's everything I remember growing up.
Wow.
That sounds
I think
like
you just peeked into my, I was going to peeked into the living room window of my family too.
Yeah, exactly, dude.
Yep.
Tommy, what do you got, brother?
So I think it's been a little bit of a tumultuous first 4 weeks here, right? We had some really great showings at the beginning of the year, kind of fought our way through the Cardinals, just smack the Dolphins, smack the Jaguars, and then boom, we had this game against the Ravens. So, but 4 weeks is enough of a data set that we can really kind of take some things away. So for you, Greg, just what are your thoughts on like these first 4 weeks? What have we learned? Kind of like what are maybe the one or two big points of what we've learned about these Buffalo Bills in these first 4 weeks?
So I think one, it should be reassuring that it wasn't the complete kind of rebuild that some people were trying to project, that they were going to fall apart without Stephon Diggs, or they were going to struggle to score points. So after 3 weeks, they're the highest scoring team in the league, and they're still one of the highest scoring teams in the league. I think it also should be a good reminder that things like all the cliches people talk about, it's a week to week league, any team, any Sunday, all the different things. Game script is really important. And the 2 games against the Dolphins and the Jaguars are good examples where when we get out to a lead, we can pin our ears back and come after you when we know you have to pass, and we can remain balanced on offense where you think we're going to run, but we can run a lot of play action and take shots over the top. We are an incredibly dangerous team. I think we can beat every team in the NFL if we get off to a hot start. Also, when we let teams get out on a start against us and then make us one-dimensional, where they're not as worried about the run, they're not as worried about the play action, they're willing to just kind of drop back and play the pass, they are able to stay balanced and run against a defense that's built more for speed and pass rush and coverage, not stout run defending. We're not built for that either. We found out the hard way Sunday night. And I say that in the sense that, if we play the Jags and the Dolphins again, I don't know that we're going to run it back 78-20 and just house them again. I think we'd win, but I don't know that we would just completely trounce them in the same way. And honestly, if we play the Ravens again, I'd take my chances. Like, yeah, if they get out to a good start, they'd probably beat us again. But if we get out to a good start and they need Lamar to pass them back into the game, and they're worried about our balance on offense and having to play the run more seriously, we can beat them too. And especially, everybody saw the 3 guys sitting over there on the sideline, and Milano, Bernard, and Taryn watching the game together like us sitting there watching. I'll take my chances in the future. But it just goes to show, it's how New England beat Cincinnati. It's how the 49ers lost the way they did. It's how the Raiders beat the Ravens. Like, the Raiders aren't better than us, but they beat the Ravens. It's how these games happen. It's how those things happen. Any given Sunday, game script, things like that become coaching cliches that you get frustrated that, well, why don't we just do this every single time? Like, well, when they know it's coming, it's not as effective. So I think it was a good wake-up call that this team's very talented. I think we can beat anyone in the NFL, but if they catch us on the wrong day, we could probably get our butts kicked too.
Right. Yeah. I think we were definitely playing on our back foot. And I kept saying, I think you brought up a point about having like our entire, middle of our defense watching on the sideline in their baseball caps. I kept saying in our group, in our friend chat, like, it's almost as if we're missing, we're playing our 4th, 5th, and 6th best linebackers, right? It's almost as if that they're the reason that we can play small personnel on defense and still match up really well. It's because we have Teron Johnson, who plays like a truck, and we have Matt Milano and Terrell Bernard, who hit really hard and can fit the run really well as playing and really defending the pass as well as they do. So it's like, I was frustrated in this past game of, man, it seemed as if this coaching staff set up Balen Spector, Dorian Williams to play the same way as if they're Matt Milano and Terrell Bernard. And that was frustrating. It's like, I think, yes, they're good linebackers and they're NFL players and they should be able to do similar things. But man, it seemed as if they were asking them to do what we would ask our all-pro Matt Milano.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's tough because, the desire to want an alternative is not correlated to there being an alternative. Like, right. We could want them to be like, hey, why didn't you do something different? And their answer would be like, any ideas? Sure. Like, we'd love to do something different.
Yeah.
Bring on the suggestions. Let us know which one you'd like us to do. Sometimes, especially Baltimore, who plays through the most two tight end sets in the league with the biggest running back in NFL history, and combined with a read option with one of the best running quarterbacks in NFL history. If you don't let them get started, you can beat them. If you let them get ahead of steam, they would steamroll everyone in the league.
Right.
So would you consider an 87-yard touchdown on the first play getting them going early, Greg?
Less than ideal. Less than ideal.
Cow.
I put it, I think I put out this video. I said, all right, goals for the second drive: touch a Baltimore ball carrier.
Yeah, it would be cool.
If a Buffalo Bill could touch an NFL or a Baltimore ball carrier, that's progress. We'll take baby steps.
Absolutely. Jake, I saw you unmute there for a second. Did you want to hop in there for a moment?
I did, yeah. It's kind of piggybacking off it, but somebody in our Instagram live popped in and asked a question. Is there any concern in the percentage of light boxes that we saw against the Ravens?
Yeah, go ahead, Greg.
I mean, concern is a relative term. It's more so that when you're winning, let me flip this around. If you go back and watch the Jaguars and Dolphins games, their fans would ask, should we be concerned that the Bills had so many light boxes? Well, yeah, we're up 21-0. I dare you to run. I dare, go ahead. Yeah, by all means, take advantage of these light boxes. Yeah, like I don't love it that they could just dare us to run, but they were winning 21-3. Like, yeah, they wanted us to run the ball. Every second they clicked off the clock was, to their advantage. So, if we are in a back and forth game and then they're daring us to run and giving us those light boxes, yes, then I'd be concerned. And that's purely game script. That's, hey, all they're worried about is not getting beat for big plays over the top and things like that. Short of when your quarterback's 1 yard from the sideline and chucks it 52 yards back across over four guys' heads. Other than that, they were daring us to beat them, with short dink and dunk stuff and wanted us to run. So it's a fair question because the numbers look concerning, but it was way more game script than them not respecting James Cook or not respecting the run game. They were begging us to run.
Yeah. And I think too, we've seen it, the proof is in the pudding ever since Sean McDermott's been the coach on this team. We don't adapt really in terms of personnel a ton, in terms of going, because we're primarily nickel and dime sets on defense. We're not going to suddenly go 4-3 and have three linebackers out there all the time because we're playing the Baltimore Ravens. Sean McDermott has shown us in the past that he doesn't do that. We stick to what we do. And, sometimes this is the byproduct, but I think we get a lot more positive out of this than we do negative, especially when you consider the fact that we are missing the guys that we're missing. So,
well, you even take it goes beyond there. It goes up to the front office. It goes to philosophical elements. Would you want them to have a really highly paid or high draft investment third linebacker that 2 out of 3 games doesn't really play? But we got him sitting there waiting. Like, if we need him, we got a really fancy, nice thing that sits there and we don't use it most of the time because most teams pass the ball way more than the Ravens and don't, represent that kind of risk. But we have it just in case, and it means we don't have Connor McGovern or we don't have some other starter in another spot because we invested in that extra piece to have. So, I actually, in all of those things together, the one thing that's come of this is Dorian Williams has shown he's a really good run defender. Like he brings a hammer. Like he can play. He's Terrell Dotson. He is the guy that when it's in front of you, going downhill, read and react, just, see ball, get ball stuff, I like him being on the field. So when we have Terrell Bernard and Matt Milano, I'm cool with him being the third linebacker. I don't want him out there isolated in space against Justice Hill trying to cover him down the field. But in that sense, we actually probably have that guy. Like he probably is that guy. It's just right now he's playing 2 spots over his head for what he's intended to do.
Yeah. Great. Next question for you. So this one to me feels, I don't want to say I have a very definitive thing that pops out in my head for this question, but what is the most concerning thing that you've seen from the Bills so far through 4 games?
Probably that we're as dependent as we are on an early start and on game script. Like we need it to to go well. So I mean this sincerely. If we score first or get a 2-score lead in 4 straight playoff games, we'll win the Super Bowl. Not can, we will. We will win the Super Bowl. If we don't, we probably get knocked out in any of those games. Yeah. So some of those things, there are some costs to having whatever the latest number is, $62 million in dead cap space. Like that's,
yeah.
When you think about the fact of like, hey, that's probably 8 really good veteran contributors at some different spots to have depth and versatility and another piece here and there along the roster. That happens. So we'll get back to that. We have a cadre of draft picks next year and a pretty healthy cap situation next year. So that'll come back around. But right now, we're probably playing a little over our heads and a little thin. We were in a position where we couldn't really afford injuries, and we've had worse injury luck than usual. So I would say it's probably my biggest concern is we are incredibly dependent on game script, on staying on schedule, on us getting an early lead and playing from ahead, and we are going to be really good front runners that will boat race way more teams like we did to the Jaguars and Dolphins. And when we don't, that whole streak that we had of the 43 games without a 6-point loss, that was because we had more depth and balance and versatility, and now we're a little thinner and a little more top heavy. Yeah. That when it starts rolling the wrong way, we're going to get the other snowball effect, and we might get housed 2 more times this year. Like it's just
right.
It's the way we're built, and we're not set to be able to stop that ball from rolling downhill. It's only certain teams, but if the Lions get rolling downhill with that run game, if the 49ers get rolling downhill with that run game, like they're both capable of doing that to us. And again, if we jump out onto a lead on either of them, we could beat both of them by 2 touchdowns. So that's probably my biggest concern is we are not built to, take a couple shots in the first couple rounds, reestablish our game plan, and then come back out and switch to, fighting left-handed and to beat a team. We don't have that in our playbook anymore. So we'll get back to that next year. But this year, we have a really good fastball, and when we can throw it, we're good.
Feast or famine.
Right. But I think having Josh Allen is the one kind of piece that could flip that, right? If all of a sudden Josh Allen goes out and is Superman, he could push the ball a little bit back, rolling the other direction. But I think you're right. I think if we get behind, that's the issue.
And again, we will have some games where we will get behind, like Arizona. Arizona's a talented team, but Arizona couldn't punch us in the mouth the way that Baltimore did, so we could come back. So we're going to have games. I'm not saying that any team we get down against, we can't come back. Of course we can. The upper echelon, who are built to be able to play from in front with a pass rush, with a run game, they're going to be able to kind of keep us stiff-armed and hold us at bay. And then even all that said, if Kincaid catches that ball on the first drive at the end of the first half, if Coleman catches that ball there, if a couple things, if their fumble doesn't bounce into Ricard's arms, if no one's, I have defended that calling a trick play in that moment was not a bad idea. That trick play was a horrible idea. Yeah. Calling a trick play, we needed to take a shot. We had not sustained a drive all game. Our only score was when Josh literally was leaping out of bounds, throwing it 52 yards across over 4 guys' heads. Like, we had not sustained a drive all night. Taking an aggressive shot made total sense. Yeah. If in that moment Josh recognized that, oh shit, Van Noy's about to get me, eats it, and Van Noy tackles him forward right in that exact same spot, it's 3rd and 9.
Yep.
It's 3rd and 9, and we've got the ball, and we're still moving just fine, and in a spot where we're at midfield, where even if we only get like 5 yards on the next play, we're probably going for it on 4th down because we're literally at their 45. So all that said, like even getting punched in the mouth as bad as we did, we were still a handful of plays from probably stealing a win we didn't deserve. So this team's still going to be really good. We're still going to win double-digit games. Maybe it's 12, maybe it's 10. We'll see. But, there's still plenty to be excited about. No one should be jumping off the bandwagon here. And the best news everybody has is if you ask 10 like NFL media people who are really plugged in who the best team in the league is, you probably get like 6 or 8 different answers. There is no juggernaut this year.
Yeah.
Like we just said, the Raiders beat the Ravens. The Chiefs literally are the worst 4-0 team I've ever
in history,
I,
dude. It's
I don't understand how they're
unbelievable.
4-0. There's no juggernaut. There's
it's
no
the
unbeatable team this year. There's plenty of reason to still be very excited.
Yeah. I'm
So-
the sorry, Tommy, go ahead, buddy.
So I think we're kind of be amiss of having you on and not talk some contract money stuff, salary cap things. And like you said, I'm sure half of your DMs today and Twitter replies or probably 75% were all about some wide receivers starting to want to shake loose on their teams. So we saw Davante Adams request a trade today. And
Was it definitively that he requested a trade, or was he just
Yeah,
like, I don't
Rappaport-
know?
Rappaport-
No, later on. Yeah, there
Okay.
was a clarification later that he has formally requested to be traded.
Oh wow, I didn't even know that. That was breaking news
Yeah.
for me. Boop, boop, boop.
Yep. So he's trying to shake loose. He's trying to go find his buddy Aaron. So it was. I think I would love to hear your thoughts. Davante Adams seems like completely, absolutely not possible for us. The other name I was curious of is Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper restructured his deal, and he's at I think it's like a $1.5 million cap hit. Like it's much more reasonable. What are your thoughts on maybe guys like those two, Davante Adams or Amari Cooper, possibly being moved and brought into Buffalo?
So I will reframe this and give you a glimmer of hope in both directions. The Bills can trade for any player making $1.21 million.
Totally.
No problem. No problem.
Sure.
So if the Raiders would like Davante Adams to have a $1.21 million contract in exchange for more draft compensation than they were going to get from another team, we've seen that before. That's what the Giants did with Leonard Williams when they traded him to the Seahawks. They ate his salary to get a second-round pick instead of a third-round pick, or a second instead of a fourth. So if, let's say, some really ugly red and yellow team was offering a fourth-round pick to the Raiders, and they were saying, well, we sure as hell don't want to trade him to that team. And the Bills were like, listen, we'll give you a fourth-round pick, but we can't take any money. And then they said, well, that's crazy. We're not going to need that money. But okay, well, how about a third-round pick? Okay, it's getting closer. Well, you guys have 2 second-round picks. How about you keep Minnesota's pick and you give us your second-round pick, and we'll eat Davante Adams' salary and send him over to you.
Maybe.
Crazier things have happened. There's precedent that has happened in the past. The Bills, that's the only chance. They cannot fit his current salary. There's no combination of restructures, and we have pulled all the levers. We have flipped all the switches. we broke it off. There are no more strings to pull. But like I said, if they want to make it happen, they can. The things in the NFL, they can make it happen if they want to. So that brings us to Amari Cooper is already in that position. He's in the final year of his deal. His salary is $1.21 million. He's making plenty of cash. The Browns just already gave it to him. So if the Browns get to a point where they decide, hey, Cooper doesn't want to be here next year, another quick caveat is Davante Adams has a huge amount of money due to him the next 2 years. I don't think that any team that trades for him is going to give him that money. It's 2 years and $72 million. It's $36 million per year.
Woo!
It's almost so much that it's a good thing for the Bills, because if it was, say, 2 years and $40 million and $20 million a year, there probably are a couple teams that might give it to him and guarantee him that money. It's almost helpful that it's so much money that they can go to his agent and be like, listen, no one's going to give that to you. So how about we commit to you that we will redo his deal right now, and that he gets to play with Josh Allen and then be a free agent, and you get to go get the best deal you can get. And we'll throw an offer out to you too in March, but you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to wait and like him and Haw, are we going to be a free agent or are you going to get the money? We'll tell you right now, we're not going to give you that money, but we don't think anybody else is either. So come here, play your butt off, earn yourself one more really nice contract catching balls from one of the top 2 quarterbacks in the league, and let's roll with it. So it's almost so much money that it's helpful in my mind. Amari Cooper is a free agent. He has already been paid. They actually, because of all the weird stuff they were doing in Cleveland, they already restructured his like $20 million salary as a signing bonus to prorate it. So they've already paid him the cash. So any team that trades for him would only get 1.21 million. They've already done the hard part we'd be asking the Raiders to do. It's now just them reconciling the sunk cost of, hey, do we want to, how much draft compensation do we need to sleep at night that we just ate all that money, is basically the gist of it.
Right. I feel like just Cleveland just likes just chewing on money. I think that's their plan. You know?
So it's weird because they restructured guys that they didn't even have to do. They restructured it to create, I think it's like $65 million in cap space right now. Like they have $65 million in cap space now to roll over to next year. But because the way they restructured Deshaun Watson's deal, his cap hit is $72 million next year. So they just like gave themselves a coupon for like next year to cover his deal. But they pulled forward like 4 different guys, like Njoku and Myles Garrett and all these other guys' deals to allow them to cover that for next year. So I don't know that I fully grasp why they did that, but Amari Cooper was one of the guys they did it with, and they could have just, they had the money to just pay him $20 million, pay it as you go, take your medicine, and move on. And they would still have had $40 million in cap space this year, but instead they restructured it, kicked it out into the future when he's not on the team. So I don't know, maybe that tells me that they think they're going to re-sign him and they're going to be able to keep that prorated and not take a big dead cap hit. But if they decide they're not, or if he tells them that, hey, I don't want to be here, hey, I think Deshaun Watson sucks, I don't want to play with him anymore. That'd be a crazy thing to say. If he were to say something, outlandish along those lines, they might just accept the fact that like, screw it. We already bit the bullet. Let's just let him roll.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Very nice.
A team known for its good decisions trading for Deshaun Watson, what they did. But so Greg, looking to next year when that Steph Diggs money comes off the books, any early thoughts on what Bills might try to do with that? You talked about depth already, but is there a certain need or player that you have your eye on or anything like that?
So the good news is they don't have some like gaping hole or super bad need. So Rasul Douglas is literally the only starter that's not signed for next year. They almost have like 20 or 21 of the starters back for next year. So I would say right now, especially with like the whole weird Von Miller situation, it's hard because everybody knew the situation, allegations that happened. Everybody knew the report, the recanting. People could speculate on reasons why someone would recant a statement like that, and I don't know the actual real truth. But everyone had kind of reconciled that and moved forward. I had moved forward with the idea that, hey, he's just an anchor around our neck. We can't really do anything about it until 2025. So he's just going to be on the roster and he'll just be like a guy that stands over there. Then all of a sudden, in training camp and preseason, I'm like, oh, well, that looks interesting. And then he gets a sack in each of the first 3 games. And I was like, oh, well, holy crap. Maybe we actually want him to be on the team next year. And now this happens and I have no clue. I don't even know what to think. So I would say pass rush is probably my number one need. I want to pay Gregory Rousseau.
Yep.
I already think AJ Epinesa is fine, but not an answer to any question that matters. Like he's a roster caliber guy, but he's not going to be the difference maker. So whether that's a top 2 round pick next year, or you decide that, hey, let's go out and try to get Joe Tryon-Shoyinka or there's a handful of top end pass rushers that are going to hit the market. Maybe you want to go throw some money at one of those guys. That'd be the one area that I would splurge. We have such a good track record with drafting in the secondary and corners that I'd be shocked if we paid a corner. Like there's a number where it makes sense to bring Rasul Douglas back. It's bad business to pay corners after they turn 30, but his style of play, how zone heavy we are, that he plays the short side of the field and Benford plays the open side of the field. if we go year to year with him, and then we also draft a guy in the second round or third round and like pair them up as the answer on that side, I'm good with that. So I would say right now, if I was going to throw something out there, of course, I never mind if we had another weapon for Josh, but I think my actual top wish list item would be a shiny pass rusher.
Yeah, absolutely, man, for sure. Well, Greg,
So can you guys help me? What
please go
time
ahead.
do I have to wake up to watch hockey?
Oh man,
Like
this Friday, dude, it's pretty darn early, man. So we're starting
Like-
out. The Sabres are actually opening. They're taking a page out of the NHL book and trying to grow the game and expand the game overseas. So we are starting in Prague on Friday morning, my brother.
Which is a
And
beautiful city. This is an amazing place.
Oh, yeah.
I just didn't know it was like and it's a real game. Like that's not a.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
regular
It's not
season,
like an
dude.
exhibition. Like it's literally like the London or Germany games for the NFL. Like it's a real regular season game. But I saw one of them's at like 1 o'clock, and one of them's at like 10 a.m. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
Friday,
It's like-
Friday at 1, Saturday at 10 a.m. So early start
Okay.
times over there. But they do a home and home. Both teams go over New Jersey and Buffalo, so they'll split the games that way. And yeah,
So they each gave up one home game. They go over and play there. And if so, is New Jersey good?
Yes. Yes, they are. This will be a really good early benchmark for what Lindy Ruff is going to be doing with the boys. So
Okay. So
That'd be
if we
interesting.
steal one and we split 1-1, that's a win.
I'd be very
Say
happy with
thumbs up.
splitting. Yeah.
for
Got
sure,
it.
absolutely. Anytime you have Sabres questions, Greg, feel free to
Uh,
send them my way, brother.
They wrote me into a Cover One fantasy hockey league. I have a fantasy
Dude.
hockey team.
Ooh.
no
so-
way.
I am now learning more. I don't know if I know any of my players.
That's okay, man.
I was just gonna pull. I don't know if it'll let me share my screen. I was gonna show you guys my team.
Oh, please. Please.
If you can,
Oh
man,
no, I
would
take that
love
back.
to see
I
it.
got Sam Reinhart.
Hey,
So
okay, we love that.
but
There's
it's tough.
45
Not-
goals.
They not only wrote me into a fantasy hockey league, they wrote me into a 12-person fantasy hockey league. So it's like
oh, wow, dude.
like a like, I'm like
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
as I'm like getting down there to the final draft, like we got past like the third round, and I'm like, all right, guys, I'm out of people I've ever heard of. Like that's it. We are out. Those are all the guys that I know the names of.
oh, I
Yeah.
love it. man.
Oh, yeah.
Tom,
Oh, we'd
it's
love
so
to
fun.
see your team if you want to share it to us. That'd be
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah,
that's fun.
absolutely, man.
Let's see.
Oh,
Is that
see
pulled
it
up right?
there.
I can
Let's see.
pull it up for you. Yep.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
got
yeah.
you.
We can add that real quick.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
So yeah, so
Amazing.
but it's good because I am like obnoxiously competitive. So I'm going to check my lineup all the time. I'm going to look through the different stuff. I play in a fantasy baseball league that I've finished first and third. I hate baseball. I don't even like baseball. But
neither.
I still I like numbers. I like numbers and I like tracking like who's doing well, who's trending well. So this will force me to pay attention, and I'll now
Yeah.
know more of who's doing well and who I should go after here. So we'll
I'll
see.
tell you what,
Uh,
Greg, this looks like a pretty solid squad to me, my friend. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Well, the good news is I had no I had no like I just literally went by like their average draft ranking and like picked the position that I needed. I was like,
Yeah.
well, this is the next highest ranked guy. So like I just kept getting the guy who fell to the next spot because I wasn't reaching for anyone because I didn't know anyone's name. So it was great.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I'll tell you what, it looks like a solid squad from what I can see. The fact that you've got Jeremy Swayman as your goalie, I know he hasn't signed yet, but he's
I was
going
just gonna
to.
say I
Yeah,
felt
he's
really
holding
good
out.
about it until I saw the holdout thing. But I also I read a good thing about my second goalie too, that maybe he's young and doing okay. So
Yeah,
I'll fill
he's
in.
He's
solid.
young, and most importantly, he's playing for a great team. So they'll stack up
Okay,
some wins
cool,
for you.
cool.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, Greg,
Awesome.
man, dude,
This was fun, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time tonight, brother. It really does mean a lot to us. We're big fans, man. Greg, please tell the folks where they can find you. Tell them all about Cover One. The floor is yours, my friend.
Appreciate it. So everywhere that you're watching this awesome show and checking out the guys here, you can also find our work at Cover One. So after you finish watching this, come on over and find us. Aaron and I will be having Brett Coleman on to preview the Bills-Texans game this week. So we'll be going over the matchup here with Brett. And this is, I think, really good that the Bills have to rebound quickly because this is a team that we're very likely to face in the playoffs. We can't kind of lick our wounds and feel bad for ourselves. We have to turn things around quickly. And I think that almost almost helps you flush it and move on because you know you have to turn around and be ready for this game. So really looking forward to it. This was a ton of fun. Happy to come on again anytime you guys need.
Awesome,
man.
man. Greg, thank
You're
you
the
so
man.
much,
Thanks, Greg.
brother. We appreciate
Appreciate it,
dude.
guys.
Hey,
Have
go
a great
Bills.
night.
Good night.
Go
Go
Bills.
Sabres.
Go Bills, baby.
Go Sabres. Yeah, that's right.
Awesome, man. Shout out Greg, dude. Oh, so
Hell yeah.
that's a big deal for us,
That's
man.
cool.
That's a guy that we really look up to and appreciate a lot, man. So thank you
Yeah.
to Greg for doing that and spending some of his time. He's a husband and a dad. So I mean, Tom, you can attest that's not easy in terms of juggling all your schedules. And he literally came straight from a soccer game in his family. So we really appreciate Greg hustling around and
Man.
sharing some of his valued time with us.
So, and just to like kind of just one more thing about the Cover One show, they always do a post game show. So if anybody's ever looking for some kind of therapy after the game, it's like immediately, like half an hour after the show, he and Aaron hop on. So there'd be times like on Sunday night, I had it on my headphones while I was sitting there trying to feed the baby at midnight, and I was listening to them, and it was, it's if you're looking for the post game, we are oftentimes multiple days after, but you want immediate reaction, they're a great place to go.
They're a great place to go. And then they prime every game on Wednesday nights. Wednesday nights, you can listen to Aaron and Greg discuss the upcoming game, and they usually bring on a beat writer or a media pundit in some capacity on for that pregame, like he just talked about. So that's another great pod for y'all to check out. Tom, do you know what time they start on Wednesdays? I want to say 8 Eastern.
I think it's 9 p.m. I think it's
maybe
late.
9.
Yeah, I think it's 9 p.m.
If you find him on Twitter, it's at Greg Tompsett on Twitter. I believe he's on there, and you'll find him. So it's definitely worth your time, folks, to go and find these guys. In addition to like Anthony Prohaska, like the Cover One Film Room is incredible. Like I learned so much from that.
You go to school when you watch the Cover One Film Room, and it's awesome.
Facts, dude.
I love that. It's awesome. So
they're awesome at what they do. Definitely infinitely better than us boneheads, but
well, entertainment factor over here.
Yeah,
they're entertaining as well. Not to say they aren't, but holy cow, you can laugh, a little bit at our, ineptitude over here.
And look how good looking you are, Tom. I mean, who's gonna not come hang out with us?
Right. Hey,
with your awesome "Let's Go Buff Pod" shirt.
Yeah, we should get T-shirts made for everybody.
We should get some T-shirts made up.
So before I know we got lots of Sabre stuff to talk on, but can we talk 2 minutes just real quick about the Texans game coming up on Sunday? Because I think that's right. That's another big deal. We have another AFC team who is going to be a playoff contender coming up. They're playing 1 p.m. in Houston, so no more prime time, folks. We can all get to bed on time.
That's right. Noon for me. Noon football, baby.
Nooner. Wow. Dude,
nooner.
I want to come watch football with Nigel. Like,
dude, come down to Nashville, baby. It's so warm.
So big deal, right? This is CJ Stroud. This is Stephon Diggs, guys. This is Stephon Diggs. They're a little bit of a beat up team. They just got handled by Minnesota.
They sure did.
So they can be had. Everybody came in. I'm gonna put the big on the royal they, meaning the entire Texans team. We're talking big talk all off season, right? CJ Stroud was on every different podcast talking.
Holy shit, he was insufferable.
You know what? It's like, all right, dude, I get it. You are an incredibly talented young man who just has a gazillion dollars and on a really good team. I get it, but holy cow, you better back up what you're talking about. And they're a good team, but they're not the juggernaut that they were kind of set up to be. So my big thing for this weekend is we need to make sure that we're playing our game, right? Greg kind of just talked about it, right? I was going to bring this up for this game, but Greg kind of elaborated it really nicely of kind of and what that looked like when it didn't happen against the Ravens. We need to go in and we need to take control. The offense needs to hum. They need to be efficient, and they just need to get points on the board. And I think we can take control here. Nige, you've been kind of scared of Diggs. Are you still scared of Diggs?
I'm going to be honest, dude. I am. I've had this one circled as I think this is going to be another lose 35-10 game, kind of a vibe for the Bills. I really do, man. Listen. There's two main factors that I think about, and it's Josh Allen wants to prove that he can play without Steph Diggs, and Steph Diggs wants to prove that he can play without Josh Allen. Both of these guys they're gonna play nice with the media and all that stuff, but these are guys that are competitive as hell. They're grown ass men. They want to handle their business in front of the world. No, it's not a primetime game, but people are going to be checking out what's going on with the Steph Diggs revenge game. That being said, dude, this just feels like a game that Buffalo typically doesn't handle well, like a revengeful, previous player kind of a situation. I don't know, man. And obviously, like, Houston doesn't run the ball like a Baltimore does. Nobody runs the ball like a Baltimore does. But I just don't have a good feeling, and I don't have any numbers or data to put behind that. This just feels like a Buffalo Bills trap game. I would imagine Stephon Diggs has 150 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns, and I think we probably get spanked. That's how I feel. I really, 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 really hope I'm wrong, and I hope Stephon Diggs doesn't catch a single pass, or I hope he catches like 2 for 3 yards. That might even be better. And I don't know, man. I don't feel good about it. Yeah, I'm terrified of Stephon Diggs, dude.
I think getting our butt smacked on primetime on Sunday I think this team's gonna be ready to play. I think they're not ready to take that twice. Right.
I'd like to hope so, right?
Right.
It's the goal.
So, but again, it's all vibes. Right. That's what this is. That's what it is. Yeah. That our comment here said that Tank Dell might be back on Sunday, which is a problem, right? He's a good receiver. Nico Collins right now is on track for like 2,000 yards this season. The guy's been playing like crazy. So yeah, I don't know.
He's leading the league receiving, I think, or maybe it's close if he's not the leader.
Well, if he's on track for 2,000 yards, he better be. So
fair enough.
Right? Or he's got to try harder, apparently. So, yeah. So I don't know. Do you guys want to do some score predictions real quick and then move on to some Sabres stuff? Because you guys have important things. The season is coming.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I would say, oh, man.
You just said 35-10, bro. I think you have to stick with it.
All right, 35-10. 35-10 Houston. I got the Bills 3-2 after this weekend.
I'm going to go tight game. 24-23 Bills.
Woo! Okay, so you're taking the boys. All right, I love it.
But tight game.
I'm going to go kind of split the difference, but I tend to agree more with Nigel. I'm going to go 31-24 Texans.
Cool.
I don't like it.
Hey,
I don't like it
guys.
either.
I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys next week. Here we
Hey,
go.
Man, I sure goddamn hope that Jake and I are wrong. We all know that. Like, I am banging the table for Jake and I to be wrong, but I don't know, man. It feels icky to me. And it's away. It's in Houston. I mean, obviously, I don't get the impression that Houston Texans fans are, like a fan base that we should be nervous about. But all the same, home field advantage I think does matter in this league, and it just feels icky to me. So, Jake, we haven't heard many of your sultry tones this evening, so I would love for you to drive this bus through the Sabres stuff, brother. Is that okay? Can I pass off the baton to you?
Yeah, please. I think we rip through a lot of these and kind of get to the meat of it, which is the fact that the NHL season starts this Friday.
Let's go, baby! I'm freaking stoked, fellas.
But to kick us off, a couple newsy items. First of all, new captain in town. Dahlin got named captain with the rotating A's being Tuck, Thompson, Cousins, and Samuelson. So, dude, any thoughts on Dahlin being captain? I kind of expected this. It was writing was on the wall, and I'm thrilled about it.
Yeah, to me, there were only 3 options, right? And they were Rasmus Dahlin, Tage Thompson, Beer Air Bubble, and then Alex Tuck. So those were the only 3 guys I was anticipating.
Fourth lineman, but yeah, okay.
Those were the only 3 I was expecting, and I do think that Lindy made the right decision. Dallas has been here longer than any of those guys. The growth that we've seen from Rasmus Dahlin has really been nothing short of awesome, dude. Like he was a slow start, but he has developed into, I think he's a top 10 defenseman in this league. I think if you dispute that, okay, give me your top 10, I guess, but I think you're dumb. He's turned into a guy that is obviously offensively incredible. He plays like a forward, but his defensive game has become incredibly sound. And you do not, I'm going to repeat that, you do not fuck around with Rasmus Dahlin, dude, because he will punch you in the face with his glove on and not give a shit about it.
He's mean.
He's developed a real nice edge to his game with that offensive ability. He's been through the doldrums. He's ready to lead this team into the future. So I think the right call was made 100%. And I think the A's are correct too, man. I think all those guys are great leaders. I think it's nice to get Sammy in there. And again, like we just said, that Tage and Tuck were the only other 2 captain possibilities. So obviously they got A's. I think this coaching staff absolutely hit it on the head in terms of the season, the A's.
Yeah, I agree. I think any 3 of those guys that you mentioned as candidates for the captain's chair would be good choices. So it's a breath of fresh air to have those to choose between. No disrespect to like Brian Giunta or Jason Pominville, but I'm happy that there's a bit more of a younger core that's taking the leadership role by the horns and moving forward with it.
Yeah.
Real quick hits on preseason. The Sabres, whether it was the A team or the B team, had success in the preseason. The Buffalo Amerks, if you will, beat quite a few teams down the stretch and looked good doing it. I think they showed a lot of flashes of young talent on the roster. Noah Ostlund, I wanted to point out, looked really good in a lot of those games. A couple of beautiful primary assists in that game against Ottawa. I think it was.
Position for Ostlund?
He's a center. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Young kid. I think he's from Sweden or Finland.
Yes, correct.
Sweden.
Yep, another Swede.
Yeah. Anyone else jump out to you in preseason play that you wanted to touch on, Nudge?
Man, there's 2 guys that kind of popped to me from what I saw, and I just want to reiterate that Ostlund was from my eye test, he was the guy that was. I mean, he was playing his ass off, dude. That overtime goal that he had against, I think it was Ottawa. Don't quote me on that, but he had an overtime winner last week. That was, I mean, my God, dude, what a sick move it was. Absolute silk for hands. And then, that game where he had the 3 primary assists. I mean, woo, that kid might be a problem in the A. So I'll be excited to see him. Other guys, I am really excited about Anton Wahlberg, dude. I like Anton Wahlberg a lot. I think he's just different than a lot of what I've body, but Anton Wahlberg just plays like a real power forward kind of game, similar to Tage Thompson, not quite as big, and he doesn't have the ability to quite handle inside a phone booth the way that Tage does. But man, I saw some really great things from Anton Wahlberg in the Amerks playoffs last season and in this preseason. And then the other guy that jumped out to me, dude, and this is probably a good thing because he's going to get the chance to start with the Amerks, was Consta Helenius. I thought he didn't look out of place at all, dude. So I'm excited that, we went through all that shit with Matt Savoy where he was in that limbo where he couldn't go, or he wasn't ready for the Sabres, but couldn't play in Rochester. Just grateful to have a guy that's in that same spot, but can just go directly to Rochester. Because, man, from what I saw last night, that kid's ready. So those were the big 3 that popped for me with these games for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I like that he gets to go to Rochester. He's somebody that I think is maybe the most true natural center that we have in the prospect pipeline. So he can marinate for he's 18. He can marinate for 2 years down in Rochester and come up, as some of the bottom 6 contracts in the forward group for Buffalo start to play themselves out. Maybe he jumps right into a spot there after getting some good seasoning in the A. So yeah, I'm thrilled about him. The main NHL squad's been in Europe for the past week. They played Red Bull München on Friday. They won 5-0. Not to beat up on a German hockey team, but you'd expect Buffalo's A group to handily defeat them, and they did. But what a cool experience for JJ Peterka. He started his career in Germany playing for that team, and he gets to go kind of have a homecoming in a way and go back and play against them. So just a cool series. I like that they do that for the preseason.
Yeah, for sure, dude. That was cool.
And we kind of alluded to this earlier, but that takes us to Sabres opening game, Friday, 1 p.m. in Prague against the New Jersey Devils. They do back-to-back games against the Devils, 10 a.m. on Saturday, squaring off with them again. These are a tough 2 games, Nigel. I mean, New Jersey, yes, they finished lower than Buffalo in the standings last year, but I just do not think that's indicative of where they are as a hockey team. They're getting 2 huge additions, one through a trade for Jacob Markstrom in net, where they've had a lot of instability last year, and the second through coming back from injury. Dougie Hamilton missed the entire year last year for all intents and purposes. He's back. He should be conditioned. He should be ready to play. He's a big add for their blue line, and that was a position that they also struggled in last year. So they really have their hands full going up against the Devils this weekend.
Yeah, and I think the biggest change, obviously, with the Devils this year, like what was the big knock on them last year? Like why did Lindy Ruff get fired? It was goaltending, right? And now they have Jacob Markstrom from Calgary, who is a legit number 1. So, and then, yeah, man, like you mentioned the Dougie Hamilton injury. I mean, that is, at this point, I think Darlene's probably better than Dougie Hamilton, but it's this, like, that is pretty much the same. It's your number one defenseman going down, right? So to put it in Sabres terms, it's Darlene being out for the season, right?
Yeah.
So having Dougie Hamilton back is huge. I like that defensive group that they have all the way around, period. They got that young guy in what's it, Nemec, I think his name is. He was a rookie last year. I think he's poised for a solid season. They've just got a deep team there. They've got scrappy, talented, fast, gritty third and fourth lines. There's no point where you can take a shift off against that Devils team. So we're going to see that new revamped Sabres fourth line up against, some legit players very, very soon. Like I said, when Greg was on, dude, I mean, it's early, 82 games. You can't put all of your stock into what happens in the first two games, right? It's just like football, right? Week one's kind of a liar, right? These first few games, teams are going to be finding their identities a little bit, but this will still be a solid benchmark to see, if Lindy's structure system is where we're at with this team and all that stuff. Because the Devils are no joke. You got guys up and down that lineup that can score, starting with Jack Hughes. Jack Hughes is a legitimate number one center in this league now, an absolute problem. His brother Luke Hughes on defense is also no joke. So anywhere you slice it, this team is a challenge. But I think you're going to find this team very much in the playoff conversation because they addressed the biggest ailment, which was that goaltending, by acquiring a legit number one goaltender. So it's a little bit nerve-wracking, but it's the first of 82 games. You can't just live and die by that. So it'll be a challenge, but it'll be a good benchmark too.
It certainly will be. I'm always interested to see how new goalies fare in new environments. Jacob Markstrom's been in a few destinations and proven that he is adaptable and plays well behind a variety of different systems. So I think I'm not too worried about him. But this is also a Devils team that really let their goalies get shell-shocked last year. So I think it'll be interesting to see how he looks. I do think it's interesting, too, that they have Sheldon Keefe coming in as coach, moving on from Lindy Ruff in the offseason. I think any team, when they have a new coach, kind of gets a bit of a bump just from wanting to impress the new head coach. And he is a good head coach. I mean, Toronto's had its share of issues. I don't know how many were him or how many were a variety of other issues, but I think that is I think they're going to be a problem this year, man. At worst, they're a team that you're battling for a wild card spot with. At best, they're easy top 3, top 2 in the division, fighting with the Rangers for the top.
Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, it'll be tough, but like I said, dude, I mean, yeah, hey, man, you want to make the playoffs, you got to beat these teams, right? Jersey, are they in our division? I think they are.
Sir. No, sir.
No. Okay, just the same conference, but
you're still fighting with them. Yeah.
Still fighting with them. Yeah, it's 100%. I mean, those are like, if they are, if they take only a couple steps from last year, like that could be a team that we're fighting for a wild card spot with.
Absolutely.
So I like, don't put all your eggs in it, but yeah, okay, game one matters because this team could be someone you're dealing with down the road. So it'll be like, I know I sound like I've said it 100 times, but I keep saying a benchmark, right? It's a good team. It'll be good to see where we stack up against these guys.
For sure. I think score predictions are tough, but I do want to do maybe like a player that you think will have a big weekend type thing. But before we do that, Tom, you had your hand up. What do you got, pal?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that was bad.
Mr. Smith?
Yeah, Jesus Christ. What's something that you guys want clarity on this Sabres team in these first few games? What's something you're not sure how it's going to go, but you're going to get information these first few games on, and you're going to be able to, like, okay, we're going to learn about this team. What's something you're going to get clarity on in these first few games?
Jake, me or you, buddy?
I'll go first. I think style of play, how they play under a new head coach, one who has a reputation of playing fast, hard hockey with New Jersey in the past couple of years, particularly 2 years ago with the Devils. They were humming. They were in your face. They were quick through the neutral zone and quick in the offensive zone. I want to see that, and I want to see how the bottom six plays with that. I think it is drastically improved, particularly with that style of play. So yeah, I want to see what that system looks like in game action and how the players react to it.
For me, it's the line configurations, right? Who does Lindy put with who, right? How does Zach Benson do? It looks like right now Zach Benson's going to be on that second line with Dylan Cousins and Jack Quinn. She looks like Jason Zucker is going to be on that third line right now. How does that shake out, right? Like that was one that Jake and I were concerned about. We didn't want to see Zucker in the top 6. We wanted it to go to Benny It looks like that's how it's going to start, but if Benny's going to stay there, he's got to produce. How does that look? Does Peyton Krebs fit in on the fourth line? Is he a healthy scratch over Nick Aube-Kubel? I'm really, really, really interested to see, A, who are the 12 forwards that Lindy decides to dress? B, what are the line configurations that we have going into the opening game of the season? So that's the big one for me. I'm real interested to see how it all shakes out.
Roll that into what player do you have your eye on to kind of have a big impact this weekend?
I am looking for Dylan Cousins, baby. I'm looking for Dylan to come out of the gate hot after taking a significant step back last season. I think having guys like Benny and Jack Quinn will be helpful for that. But that being said, dude, like that's a guy that we want to be able to see drive the bus by himself on a line, right? So that's the guy that I'm going to be super keyed in on. I want to see him get back heading down the right track from game one, baby. I'm all eyes on Dylan Cousins.
I love it. For me, I think I'll cheat. I'll give you two. I think JJ Peterka continues the streak that he's had last year and into this year. I think he's primed for a bit of a breakout. And then the other one, Zach Benson. He's a year older. He's filled out a bit. He's 19 now. I think there's a big difference. I think there's a big difference between guys that are small.
Tie his shoes now. Let's go.
Exactly. Yeah, but no, I think guys that are small get a bad rap, but there's a big difference between guys that are small and guys that are just 18. Like he's not that tiny, and he's a little skinny maybe, but exactly the mentals, the ability that he has to be a better hockey player is monumentally more important than is he a touch bigger than somebody else. So I'm looking for him to have a breakout year as well. I don't think there'll be much of a sophomore slump.
I'm so grateful you knew what this meant, dude, because this could be like Frankenstein. This could be a lot of different things, dude.
He's got nice eyes.
His temples are really nice. I literally was sitting here in my head going mentals. And then you said the word. Love it.
Oh, man. All right, buddies.
Score prediction. Wait a minute. I want to get a quick score prediction for Friday. Should we do Friday and Saturday?
Yeah, sure.
Let's do it. I'm gonna say we win game one, and I'm gonna say it's a 3-2 overtime win. And then I'm gonna say we drop game two. I'm gonna say we drop it 4-2. I think we might get a little cocky after game one. It's gonna be a hard fought game. So I'll say 3-2 OT win game one, 4-2 loss game two.
I love it. I'm not saying this to be different. I was going the opposite. I think they get a little coming off 5-0 against Red Bull. They've been in Europe for a week. I think they get a little shell shocked against a really good Devils team on Friday. I think they lose that one. I'm gonna go 5-2, empty netter. But then I think Lindy fucking reams them out in the locker room after that. I think they come back strong and they win 4-1 on Saturday.
Empty netter, dude. I just met her, Jake. Tom, score predictions.
Watch me be right. I can't wait to be just the most right
you
all
will
season.
Too. You will.
I'm gonna keep track of my score predictions all season this year, guys. So we're gonna go a 3-1 win first game on Friday, and then a 1-0 win on Saturday.
Tom, you're going 2-0.
UPL, baby.
Damn, Tommy.
Holy shit, I love it.
Coming out, sending the Jedi on the bench.
Devin Levi's going to be great on the bench.
Yeah, he's going to be awesome. Anyway,
Tommy, get us out of here, bro.
Right. Hey, if anybody's still here and hanging out with us, we appreciate you. And please give us a like and a follow. We're on Spotify. We're on YouTube. We're on Apple Podcasts. Please give us a follow. All this is awesome. We really appreciate Greg hanging out with us today. That was awesome. So cool. And hey, guys, it's onwards and upwards, boys. Stick with us all season. Sabres are just starting. The Bills are up and rolling. Guys, this is the time. This is the time for Buffalo sports. So
peak sports season, baby.
Buckle in, folks. This is the time. Love you all. Thank you all from the bottom of our hearts for spending some time with us. Please give us a like and a follow on Instagram, X, TikTok, and our YouTube channel at Let's Go Buff Pod. These are my pals, Jake and Nigel. My name is Tom, and you're listening to the Let's Go Buffalo podcast. We're sending you love wherever you are. Go Bills, go Sabres, let's go Buffalo.